Okay. All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Telehealth Tuesday. I'm Dr. Michael Bookhardt, your host for the evening, and we would love to welcome you to yet another amazing episode. Now, before I get to our next guest, I want to tell you that this is episode number 40. This is episode number 50. And so we've got just a couple more until we make our first entire year on the airwaves right here. And so we just want to say a big thank you to all of you that have been with us, that have been rocking with us this whole way. Sometimes we had a little bumps along the way, but you know this is live, like we tell you each and every Tuesday. So I want to let you know that Telehealth Tuesday can be viewed on our YouTube channel, Dr. BTV. That's the word doctor spelled out, DOCTOR. The letter B is in boy, TV. And also our Instagram page, Facebook pages. You can see it all over social media. Michael Bookhardt, MD, MBA on Facebook. And also Heart of Music, HARDT of Music on Instagram. Now, let's go to the next order of business. I want to tell you about my good friend and my big brother, Nathaniel Dunlap Jr. All right, let's get this bio pulled up. Let's get the bio pulled up. All right, let's see. There we go. Now, actually, let me correct that. The Reverend Dr. Nathaniel Dunlap Jr. Sorry about that. Excuse me. He currently serves as the founder and executive director of the PRF Teaching Institute, which is a 501c3, which is a nonprofit teaching organization renowned for teaching finance and stewardship principles to diverse communities nationwide. He's also served as the interim director of the Poverty Reduction Organization in Alabama, Circles Opelika. Dr. Dunlap is also a former commissioned officer in the U.S. Army in a wartime. He later led the U.S. Army's personal financial management course at Fort Benning, Georgia, and worked as a consultant to the federal government national security matters for almost 20 years. He's authorized 3 books, not one, not two, but 3 books. Don't Leave Me Like This, An Inspiration to Leave a Legacy, What's Next, Preparing for Eternity, and the recently published Journey to Freedom. He earned his undergraduate degree from Virginia State University, graduate degrees from Columbia State University and Columbia Theological Seminary, and doctorate of ministry degree from New York Theological Seminary. He's served as a pastor to churches in Alabama and Georgia, lives with his wonderful wife, who is also my friend, the lovely Kathy, and they live in Opelika, Alabama. They're a blended family with 3 adult children and 1 granddaughter. Whew, man. Well, look, now that we got all that information, all that amazing information out the way, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to stand and cheer for my good friend, the incomparable Dr. Nathaniel Jr. Give it to him. Woo.
Man, I told you I need to take you on the road with me everywhere I go.
Yeah, man. You did say that last time, didn't you?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you for having me, brother.
Oh, always, always. How you feeling?
Man, I'm alive and kicking, brother. That's it. I'm alive and kicking. Trying to get
Oh,
to what we can get to.
that's wonderful, wonderful. I see some comments already coming in. I see some. I don't know who somebody put on there. Diddy on there. I don't know. I don't know if that's one of my crazy frat brothers or somebody. Or I don't know what's going on, but we got some comments going in. Liliana Glitch King. I don't know if that's any good right there or not, but nevertheless, we got some new viewers. So big shout out to y'all. Man, Nate, tell us all about what you have going on in Alabama and what you work.
Yeah. So again, thank you for just another opportunity to be on your show. I know what it feels like to get to that first year milestone.
Man,
We at PRF we just hit over 17 years last week. So we're really excited because we're taking the time out to look at everything that we've been doing over the years, evaluating, what's worked and what has not worked, what has worked better than others, and then also taking into consideration what is it that we need to focus on for the future. What do we need to be really
Absolutely.
pressing in on when the new fiscal year begins in October? Where will people be in the next couple of months? Those who have jobs now but do not have jobs. And
Absolutely.
so, with the work that we do at this PRF Institute, we rebranded this year. So it's been a little while since I've been on the show, but we branded it
Okay.
to a community financial empowerment center.
Wow.
And basically what that is partnering how we partner with other individuals and organizations so
Hmm.
that we as a collective within various communities, internal but also regional and nationwide, how do we connect with others who have different resources than we have different skill sets than we have? It's not all about having everybody on our team. We just want everybody in the stadium,
Hmm.
right? That's it. That's my mindset. We want everybody in the
Right.
stadium. And if you selling hot dogs and Cracker Jacks, we good with that, right? If you taking the tickets up, we good with that. If you counting the money, we good. We're really just excited to really press in really hard this year on just a new way of dealing with financial empowerment and also dealing with poverty, because those have been the two linchpins, if you will, for what we need to do as far as the work that we do here at the PRF Institute.
Mm. Now, PRF Institute. How long have you had the organization, and how and also are people able to work with you that don't live in Alabama?
Absolutely. This work started down in Biloxi, Mississippi back in 2008. That was the first time somebody reached out to us and said, "Hey, we know that you're into personal finance, do a workshop." So 17 years ago this month was when that actually occurred.
Wow.
To date, we have served over 27 or 28 states. I haven't looked at any numbers all month yet, but we were definitely at 27 states that we've hit, where we've helped individuals in various communities where they actually were able to do a multitude of different things. Some people just needed our one-on-one coaching, which we can get into all the particulars later. People have needed our coaching. Some people have needed us for help with legal matters, such as evictions and not getting evicted from their apartments, and foreclosures, because we have a wonderful team member that has been in the legal field over 40 years. We've also done a lot with credit and debt. We've helped a lot of people get out of debt. Matter of fact, we just did a campaign to abolish medical debt. I
Wow.
love to abolish $3.2 million of medical debt just in the state of Alabama across 8 counties. And one is the county that I live in, that we live in, which was about 990 something thousand. So
Wow.
we just have the ability to just really press in on different matters that are happening with people, and using the resources, teaching lessons that we have, the courses, the webinars, all of those things are at the disposal. So we have a very long reach, and I'm really proud to serve in this capacity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, definitely. I'm so appreciative, man, and happy for you, man, and proud of you for everything that you've been doing, and your lovely wife. I see that she's so we can see her comments right there.
Okay.
To the lovely Kathy Dunlap, and hello to Betty Daniel. Thank you all both for joining us and for supporting. I think I tried to. Okay, I guess that face didn't come out right. I put to Kathy. I said, "Hey, my friend, we're praying for you." And there's some kind of weird ghost face. I don't know what's going on, but
You Ghostface and you Diddy and all this other stuff. I don't know what's
yeah,
going on the internet
we're
tonight.
gonna pray those spirits away right there. Um, but yeah, thank y'all for joining us, and hello to our family over in Instagram land. Make sure this microphone. Yeah, we've got so many. We've got several folks over here are monitoring our Instagram folks. And thank you all for our viewers and fans over there in Instagram land. All right, well, look, let's get right to it. Let's talk about estate planning. And I know it's not a fun topic to talk about, but nevertheless, we see so many people in our community, um, you know, honestly, having to do some GoFundMe's, having to ask for money. And even though the church and your friends and family, I've seen people raise, we've seen people raise thousands and tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands on GoFundMe when it comes to tragedies and people passing away and having to pay for. That is definitely not what we need to be doing. That is, it's very unfortunate, and it shouldn't be that way. And utterly, sometimes it's even ridiculous. So, my
Mm.
first question: why do so many people, especially in our community, avoid planning for the end of life? And what are the risks of not having a plan?
So yeah, I'll talk about the risks at on the front end.
Oh,
The risk is having your legacy tarnished because you did not handle your business while you had an opportunity.
wow.
If you think about, we've
Wow.
had in our lifetime, we've had individuals by the name of Prince. We've had a whole bunch of list
Hmm.
of individuals that were stars in society,
Right.
right? Wealthy folks that did not have their affairs together. And so you think about all good that those individuals have done. You think about all of the joy that they brought some of us, especially those who are entertainers. And then you think about,
Hmm.
man, this person didn't have their stuff together. I respected them. I looked up to them.
Hmm.
So when people don't have their earthly affairs in order, they really are putting themselves and their families in a position to have their legacies tarnished. That's the big
Wow.
risk. A lot of times when people have
Right.
this conversation, Doc, people are talking about the money factors, and I'm just beyond that. I'm past that part of my life where it's about, well, you didn't leave your family any money. Nah, let's talk about your legacy. What have you done
Hmm.
that you do not want tarnished because you did not handle your business? Take case in point. I go around and our team goes around and has been traveling and doing webinars and coaching sessions and all of this work around this area. And it will be a shame before God that once Dr. Dunlap passes, if Jesus doesn't come back first,
Right.
then you say he didn't leave his wife any insurance money.
Hmm.
He didn't have certain documents in place. Yeah, everything. What happens is now you start questioning that individual. But the thing that I don't want people, when we talk about risk, I really don't want people getting into a place because their affairs are not in order and questioning the love of their loved ones who
Hmm.
cannot speak for themselves.
Right.
And the reality is, for those who have the ability to put things in order, for those who have the ability to take the time to put their estate planning affairs in orders or other type of matters in this area, we don't have time that we have right now. Why
Yeah.
risk it? Why risk it on a crapshoot? Well, I got tomorrow. Nah,
No.
you don't have tomorrow,
Hmm.
right? We can
That's
go. We
right.
can. Every last one of us can go look in our local newspaper and find obituaries of people who are no longer here.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, man, because, like I said, we see this all the time in our communities where people are, they're thinking and that's even myself included, we're thinking that we have time, I'm young, or I feel young at least, and my parents aren't really that old. I feel like I have time, but a lot of times we just don't. I want to let you all know that, look, again, guys, we know that it's not, one of the fun topics when we talk about and bring comedians on here and pastors and that type of empowerment. But this is just as or even more important because this is something that we're all going to have to deal with one day. We're all going to unfortunately have to deal with, like you said, unless the good Lord comes before. We're gonna,
Right.
yeah, we're gonna unfortunately have to deal with it. And God forbid that it's, someone that's close to you that you weren't expecting to pass away. And so that's why this is so important. So we need everyone. We need your participation. just like last week when I had my frat brother on, my dentist, Dr. Terrence Ware. Man, these guys were on here left and right. But what about braces? What about my children? What a cavity? What if somebody's breath is too bad and hot and all of that? They wanted to know about all that. Well, if you're concerned about hot breath, you need to be concerned about end of life. So, uh, so that brings me to my next question. Can you explain the difference between a living will and a durable power of attorney? Why are both of these important?
Yeah, so let me say this up front. Every state is different. There's requirements that every state has for those type of documents that you just mentioned.
Okay.
And they also can be called different things in different states. So for example, um, an advanced directive is the term that we use mostly here at PRF. But another word for an advanced directive is a living will.
Okay.
And basically, that is a document that is signed by you, the individual, where you get to say, if I am in a position where I'm unable to speak for myself,
Hmm.
here is what I do and do not want. I do not want to be hooked up to a ventilator, or I do want to be hooked up to a ventilator if it's needed. And you get to say what you want and what you do not want. We have templates for some of the most common places that we do this work in: Georgia, Alabama, North Carolina, Tennessee, Florida, Pennsylvania. Um, but the thing is, I got to go back to the love piece, I guess.
Okay.
I think that's, I mean, I'm just in that space or in that zone. I go back and I remember during the times of COVID where
Oh.
individuals could not, and you know this, right?
Hmm.
There was no time to get with the son who lives in California when you're in Philly, right? There's no time over from California to Philly to get to the hospital during COVID to see if the person wants to be on you don't have time, right, Doc? You used to work. You were an ER doctor, right? We both doctors, but you were an ER doctor, so you seen the emergency type of situations. And I know that when people hear this, it's not the easiest thing to hear.
Yeah.
It's not. But I'm painting the picture of, remember when we were in the height of the pandemic. Remember
That's
when
right.
we could not go and visit loved ones. The people were feeling so bad that they could not speak to their loved ones,
It's terrible.
right?
Terrible.
And especially when they knew that there were certain things that their loved ones have expressed that they didn't want. You have some people that would say they know if it's my time, it's my time, right?
Right.
And basically, there's about three different choices, generally speaking. And I have to say, generally speaking, when it comes to an advanced director or a level, it's, hey, if I'm unable to speak for myself, go ahead and let me go,
That's right.
right? The other one is keep me around regardless of what the cost is. And I know we may hit on that one later if we can hit on it now. Regardless of what the cost is financially, I don't care. Regardless of what they got to do,
Hmm.
go ahead and keep me alive until everything has been exhausted. And then that other one, which is in the middle, says around, um, keep me around except for if a couple of these situations, if I'm in a comatose state, if I'm in this state, or if I'm in this condition. Those are the things that you're dealing with when you're talking about a living will. Now, when you talk about a durable power of durable healthcare power of attorney, again, ladies and gentlemen, your state may have different language than what we're talking about, but the context we're talking about can be almost identical in a lot of places. That gives you the ability, just like a regular power of attorney, to give your authority of healthcare related matters. It's not about you're about to die, right?
Right.
It can be something as simple as, if your mom lives with you and you want to talk to the doctor about your mom's care, there needs to be some type of authorization. There needs to be some type of documentation, and you give that power to that other person to be able to handle things of a medical nature. It is so when I try to have people to understand the difference between the two, you say, listen, one is if it's a real dire situation, and the other one handles all the other stuff, which does not, but could include some of those dire type of situations. And the beautiful thing about it is this: they're not that expensive.
Mm.
That's the beautiful thing about it, right? We
Yeah,
deal
I'm glad
all the time. We can talk about price and all that stuff later,
okay.
but it's not. I like to bust the myths in the head and knock them in the teeth early. It's not going to take a lot of time to get a durable healthcare power of attorney, and it's not going to take a lot of your time to actually have an advance directive. That's the beauty of it. It does not take a lot of time. It does not cost a lot of money. I mean, our time is valuable. Don't get me wrong, but you're not going to pay $500 for a durable healthcare power of attorney. And so, both of these are important because one deals with some pretty bad situations, if you want to say it like that,
Hmm.
and the other one deals with things even when you're just not knowing that somebody else needs to be able to have that power. So you just got to make sure with whichever one you do, um, you have them properly executed and notarized. Some states require two witnesses, some states require one, some states do not require any witnesses at all, depending on the document. So if it
Wow.
requires, you want to make sure that it's properly notarized.
So what
And
you're oh, so what you're telling our viewers is that, and real quick, I'm going to take a quick pause for the call, since I see that we've got a little surge of folks coming on, and we're going to get right back to that. So, ladies and gentlemen, you are here. You are here joining us live on Telehealth Tuesday, where we are here, God willing, each and every Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m. And we are joined by my good friend, Dr. Nathaniel Dunlap Jr. We are talking about not only end of life, but estate planning, and making sure that you don't get into those situations where you have to do a GoFundMe because the family can't afford to pay for the funeral or the casket and different things like that, or other things happen. And we've seen it. He just touched on that those dark times of COVID when you couldn't see it, you couldn't go into the hospital. Um, we couldn't talk to family, we couldn't talk to loved ones, and even the medical professionals were, sometimes too busy to even, come to the phone, trying to help other people and save lives. So anyway, we're talking about something so important. He just touched on the fact that estate planning, power of attorney, it's not going to cost 500, it costs 400. He said that everything changed. Everything depends on the state that you're in terms of, minor change and fluctuation in the law, but the core of this is the same, and we need to be prepared. We need to be ready. So the PRF Institute, Dr. Nate has been doing this for years. They've been in several states. They've helped hundreds of people, maybe even thousands. And this is something that we have to do. We've got to share this. And so, look, and the point I wanted to make quickly before we go, I see Betty says, that's right. I went through that with my dad during 2021 during COVID. Yeah, absolutely. And we, bless you and your family. So yeah, this is something that we need to do. And he's letting you know it's not going to cost a fortune. And man, Nate, these folks, we all have cell phones. People talk about how they have subscriptions. They got Hulu and Disney
Mhm.
Plus, or I guess that's a part of Hulu, and Amazon, and all these other, um, I was thinking of the one with Powers on Power. I don't know, Stars.
Stars.
Yeah, all the thing, $10 a month, 20, 50. So you pay for all these subscriptions and I love those shows. Don't get me wrong, but these actors they're not going to do anything. Ghost from Power is not going to do anything for you when your family is in trouble. Ghost has I'm sure he's got his stuff planned out. Okay. So he just ghosts on TV. He don't want to be a ghost, but we have to get everything in line. Okay. Let's go to another. What would you say, at what stage of life, should somebody start thinking about estate planning, or is it ever too early?
When I think about estate planning, I'm often thinking about the life lessons that an individual is giving to their family. The earlier you start, the better I believe it should be. How many times have you, as listeners, said, if I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have went through that. I wouldn't have gone through this. I wouldn't have made this particular choice. I wouldn't have purchased this and married this person. We hindsight is 2020.
Absolutely.
Now I know families that come together because they're really um, serious about their legacy. They're serious about their family and their family's lineage, and they come together. And I know one family particularly that they make sure that everybody who is able to have a will has one.
Mm,
I wish that got on that at the front end, right, with them because there's a lot of them.
right.
So whoever helped them made a mint because it's a lot of them. And you think about this: how many times have we had family reunions? People have family reunions
Hmm.
every year, every other year. I know COVID picked up some things, but family reunions is a thing, and it used to be a real big thing where we get to come together with our families and we get to talk about all the stuff we used to do and the stuff we think we want, but we can't do. All of that.
That's right.
Would that not be a very powerful opportunity to talk about legacy? I remember that Tyler Perry movie when uh, Cicely Tyson was in the movie. She was on the porch, and Maya Angelou, God rest their souls. And I remember how they were talking about the way things used to be and how they loved each other and what they used to do. I just believe these are some of the ways that can help our younger generations to understand the value and importance of this when we have these family type of events. And then we don't have to necessarily be trying to focus on a specific age
Right.
because we'll be setting them things up for them from the time that they are born. When I talk to people now, I'm saying, listen, you just had a baby, get some insurance for that child.
Hmm.
A lot of times people don't want to think about getting life insurance. And we're not talking about in case your baby dies. We're not talking about that. But the earlier that you get it, the more you can stack it. And then you put that as a priority inside of your family's budget.
Right.
And then you don't have to worry about it. Right. And then, God forbid, some health challenges come along the way. Then you
Hmm.
don't have to think about it because you already got something in place. Now, legally, when you're talking about, estate planning documents, you have to start dealing with what is the majority age in a particular state. And I know one of our team members is on and they can chime in as well in the chat. But the reality is, I say to anybody, anything that you have, you should be a good steward over.
Hmm.
So how early is it that we put an age on being a good steward? No. We just
Nope.
have to wait until that age where they can take what we have, put it in writing, have it signed. They can legally sign because they're of a majority age, whatever their state is, and that's what we should be going by. But there's situations that can come up, such as if you send. Listen, we're in the summertime, right? If you send your child, listen, this is for the listeners. If you send your child off to college and they do not have a will and other estate planning documents, you are not being the best parent that you could be.
Hmm.
Here's the test. I'm not testing you and saying that you have to be the one to do it, but you need to get them to somebody that can do it. As the parent or guardian, make sure that they get it done. Because the truth is,
Absolutely.
we will spend a lot of money on our children's education, buying them things while they're going at college, right? And I'm hitting on the college folks, right?
Hmm. That's right.
Paying for rent, putting things in their room, having these big old parties, Trump packing the trunk, we'll do all of that. And then we're going to give them a whole bunch of stuff that if something should happen to them, what happens to the stuff?
Hmm.
We do this while they're younger, right? And when we do it while they're younger, then when they become parents and as they grow into and mature into adulthood, full adulthood, they will already have it done and it becomes a thing that starts to be passed down throughout their generations.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm glad you touched on the college thing, because that's something so many people are going through now, and they don't think about it in that context. We're thinking about, well, this is a happy time, and kids are still young and going off to college, and again, it's just something that we skip over. So I'm glad you touched on that. Let's see. You all can reach out to PRF. They do help with these documents. Chief Court. All right, thank you for that. Um, so another question that came in. So, what would you say is the very first step someone should take if they want to begin preparing their affairs, especially if they've never done so before? What would you say the very first step is?
Yeah, so for us, as a 501c3 nonprofit organization, I would say go to our website, go to the website and look at what we offer in this area. So if you go to our website, prfinstitute.org, you'll be able to find a section that focuses on estate planning or legacy planning. And there's several packages that are there. Whether you want a couple of documents, whether you want the whole package, whether you want to do this as couples, take a look at what's there. And then after you decide on what you need, set up a consultation with one of our stewardship coaches. It is really that simple. Once you set up a consultation with our stewardship coaches, we will go ahead and start working on your paperwork, and it does not take forever to do. So within an hour, think about this, or less than an hour, we can have all of the information that we need and have an understanding of where you are in your life and what you need within less than an hour. And then
Less
the next
than
thing
one
you know
hour.
is all we do is we do the paperwork, we send it to you, and we determine what's going to be the best method of getting it to you. Is it something we're going to email to you? We're going to FedEx it to you. And then we also have several notary publics that are on our team as well. But we also give you the resource where you can go to get your documents properly executed.
Wow. So in less than 1 hour, you're telling us that folks can be prepared for the end, but also anything in between. Folks can be fully prepared with having all their, as we say, affairs in order. And it's not even going to take 1 hour.
I really believe because we have done so many of these, we've kind of got it down to a science. And I know there's competition, if you will, with these AI generated wills. I just tell people, listen, you want to talk to somebody because one of the things that we would do is we will talk to you to kind of understand what is your family structure like, right? When you talk to us about your family structure, there's times where uh, there may be blended families. For an example, here's a good one. It's a blended family like ours, right? We got three children. I have two biological, and Kathy has one biological. We don't separate the children, but legally, there's a difference,
Okay. Right.
right? Legally, there's a difference. So if I passed away and I did not have a will, then it's going to really only involve my wife and my two biologicals. Well, that's crappy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because the other one
Definitely.
is there too, right? Um, I don't see how just filling out paperwork online is going to get you that, because sometimes people don't want to say what it is. And so we have a real good way of assessing things, which is through one of our assessments. We have assessments for the 7 different areas that we focus on throughout PRF. And that is also going to give us a little bit of information before we even have a one-on-one contact with you to say, oh, okay, this is what this person believes about this. It takes about 3 to 4 minutes to complete. And that's it. I
Okay.
hate to even make it sound so
Yeah.
simple, but
Right.
it is that simple. And my thing
Yeah.
is just got to get it. That's it.
It really, yeah, it really does. So my lovely mother is there joining us, Dr. Lily James. Good evening. So she's got a question from the audience. Can you prepare these documents for people living in any state?
I won't say any state. We have not prepared them for people in every state. If it's the states that we have already done the research and are up to date on what documents need to be included, because there's some documents that some states require that are not our standard advanced directive, durable healthcare power of attorney. There's some that actually have in their paperwork organ donations, right? If you want to be an organ donor. So, but what we tell people is you let us know what states you are in, and then from there. I can tell you off the top of my head because I've done so many of them in Florida, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, because we got our start on the East Coast. We've done some paperwork, some documentation for some individuals in California. So it really just depends. But here's what I will assure you: if it is um, if it is definitely one of those states that we have not worked before, we don't like to hold up the process, right? We don't have the time necessarily to do all the research, but we can give you the best uh, coaching that you will need because we don't want people spending money that they do not have to spend,
Right.
right? So our part would be let us help you get prepared so that you don't have to go to um, another reference point, if you will, and then start a process over and have to wait 2 weeks. You can go and say, listen, I got all this together. Um, this is what I want to happen, and I just need somebody to help me put it on paper. And that's fair. I think that's what you're supposed to do to really help people.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Jasmine, good evening, Jasmine. From look, as I say each and every week, I'm pretty sure that Jasmine was on when you were on some months ago. That she said she is a licensed massage therapist and is doing wonders here in Mississippi. My mother and I just had an amazing experience with her the previous weekend. And man, Jasmine, you can tell us all about your techniques and everything. We're going to have you back on the show. But she does an amazing job, uses different biomechanics, wood therapy. She does, but what a lot of people are so excited about with her work is all this body sculpting. I even tried it out, Doc. I tried it out, man. We're trying to instead of getting a tummy tuck or getting liposuction, Jasmine is doing cool body sculpting, and so you guys want to check her out. But her question is, does a will only become valid if it's filed publicly with the state?
That is not true across the board. Um, I don't know of any states where it has to be filed with a state, but here's what I know some people do. They file it at their county courthouse, which is different. So you
Hmm.
may be saying the same thing. Um, it's for safekeeping, right? Because in the event that that will has to get probated, it's already there. The thing that I caution people is make sure that if there are some changes, that you make sure that you send another or get another copy to supersede that you already had on file. And people need to know this in your family that is filed, that you've already filed your will, last will and testament at the county courthouse. And then it kind of removes some of the questions from some people as well, because I was in a situation where when my father died, my pops, he told life that I was his executor of his estate. And the way I was not the executive
You're
of his
not.
executor of his estate.
Yeah.
And not that the will that he had was no longer valid. Because her question was, valid. And so when we start talking about validity, the validity of a will, the number one thing is did the will get completed and executed by somebody that had what's called testamentary capacity? Did they have the right mindset to put that will in place and have that will executed? And an example would be, I just told you we got 3 children, right? Because we're a blended
Mhm.
family. If I
Right.
only had one of my children in the will, the other two should be like, "Whoa, something is wrong," right? And
Right.
there should be a challenge because um, when there's a when you have children, it's best to put something in the will that acknowledges all of the children. And it could be something as I leave $1 to my son, Nathaniel III, right? You've mentioned them, or I leave my love and affection. So there's different things that you can do that really touch on um, the validity of a will. And I know she was just talking about, having it filed, but it's not a requirement that you file your will in any state that I'm aware of, but it definitely is a good thing to do. You
Absolutely.
just have to make sure you keep up with it. And those that are, especially your executor or some loved one, knows that that's the there, because a lot of times people are looking at the house, looking throughout the house.
Yep, that's
And when
right.
they're looking throughout the house, it's not there.
You're right.
Somebody can easily say, just go to the courthouse. Yeah. So,
Yep, absolutely. Let's see. Chisa says, I'm so grateful and thankful for Dr. Nate. He's a straight no chaser when it comes to
bless you.
business. So, uh, let's see. My mother has a follow up here. If you file I know you meant to say will. If you file a will with the state, do you still have to go through probate court?
Now, here's where it starts to become tricky. I tell people you can't answer that question blanket across the board. And I know sometimes that sounds like you're not answering the question when you answer like that. But I tell people it depends on what you have in your will. So if you don't have anything that needs to be probated, then what's the purpose of having it probated, right?
Hmm.
It depends on what do you have in the will that needs to be probated. And I can say this now. That's why a lot of people are hooked on and wrapped up in this mess with trust right now,
Right.
because that has become a thing. Oh, if you get the trust, then you don't have to worry about probate and all that. And I tell people, wills and trust are two different things. Now, we don't fool with trust a lot, hardly ever, right? Because it can be very complicated. But what I know is there's places that I can say, if you went down to a certain bank in a certain city and you said, I need someone to manage my trust, and you don't have $1 million worth of assets, they're not going to work with you.
Mm.
If you don't have the
Mm.
money to continually pay for the trust, because the trust is something that's being managed right now. A will, you do
Okay.
that document, and then once it passes away, now you handle the business gets handled. But with a trust, there's somebody managing this thing consistently, right? So you're
Okay.
paying on a regular basis. And a lot of the people that we deal with, and I'm not talking about poverty, right? But just a lot of people that we deal with,
Mhm.
that's not what most people are wanting. TikTok has has caused people to want things that they probably do not really need, and also may not really be able to afford.
Wow. Man, well, I tell you, so again, this is why we are here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Want to make sure you know we are here on Telehealth Tuesday with Dr. Nathaniel Dunlap Jr. We are talking about not only life, but we're talking about estate planning, which is, some of the main things that the main subject matter, of course, is certainly, wills, and we had a question about what is the difference between will and a trust and probate court, but just estate planning in general, making sure that you have these affairs in order. So,
Mhm.
hope that answered your question, Mom. We've got, let's see, our next question. Um, so now this is a good one here. Now we can get it. It might even be a little more entertaining for you. This is because we see this. Look. You know what? I'm gonna set it up like this. Now I'm gonna set it up.
Okay.
So these folks, they come in the hospital, and when I was a hospitalist doctor, and oh, by the way, just a very minor correction. I know you said ER, even though I would see patients in the ER. I'm not a board certified ER doctor. I'm family medicine, but I was a hospitalist for years, and so we do
Right.
work with the ER. Yeah, we work with the
Gotcha.
ER doctor hand in hand. But anyway, these folks would come in, and like I talked about with basically code status and people who don't have things in order, and you got all this different drama. You got like you say, blended family, nothing wrong with that. But then
Mhm.
you've got all the additional drama. Well, there's the daughter from this who doesn't share the same mother as the brother,
Mhm.
and but then the mother, she doesn't like the man's wife, but the man is laid up on a ventilator, unconscious,
Come on.
or maybe he's in a medically induced coma or he's sedated. And so everybody's sitting there looking crazy and literally almost fighting. Sometimes I've even seen it where they're almost, I mean, we're talking hand to hand combat. Like they're ready to throw blows over what's going to happen to my daddy or what's going to happen to my husband or my ex-husband or my grandfather. And none of these folks have a clue. Nobody has any paperwork. And so these are the types of things, issues that we run into. So that sets it up for the question, how can families avoid fights and confusion over property and finances or personal belongings after a loved one actually passes?
Oh yeah, so yeah, this the simple one. Put a will in place. Now
Boom.
listen, here's the thing about it.
Can you say that one more time? What's the simple one?
The simple answer is put your will in place while you have the opportunity. That's it. That's drop the mic, right? So let's dig into that a little bit. Imagine that person that you were just talking about that's laid up.
Mm-hmm.
The will, ladies and gentlemen, does not take effect while the person is living. So a lot of times people be sing over stuff not even theirs. If I leave one house to one child, one house to another, and another house to another, it ain't their house while I'm living, right? That has to be that is more than likely going to go through a probate court, right? More than likely, right? Just to make sure that everything's fine. But the issue that I continue to see and have seen over these 17 years is that people don't take the debt part into consideration. So for example, I can leave my house, I can leave my house to you, Doc.
Right.
But if I have a mortgage on that house, the house ain't gonna be yours unless somebody pay that mortgage, which now means that somebody needs to either refinance the house and qualify for that house. And it also means that there has to be some checking to see if there's any liens on that house. And a lot of times people pass away and they have homes and things that can lien attached to it in their will, but the lien holder is getting the first right. So even though you say I'm leaving my house, if you got a lien for $70,000 on your house, right? For that because of a second mortgage or a HELOC or home equity line of credit, right? If you have that, then it ain't just as simple as okay, now Nate's son gets the house. No. That person has to now give up their first position because it's just like a mortgage, right? They got to give up their first position. And how they going to give it up? If you give them that money. So if you don't have that money, Nate Jr., then guess what? Unless somebody's going to sell the house, and then now you start dealing with a process. What I see that hurts many in communities that I deal with or we deal with is people live in houses that don't even have been probated. So I know somebody living in the house right now that their mama lived in the house and grandmama lived in the house, but grandmama's gone and mama's gone. But the house never was grandmama. It was grandmama and her two sisters.
Okay.
So what should have happened, and this is what keeps happening to folks. When we get those type of situations, you have to now go back. And so grandmama's will would have to get probated because only her portion is her portion. The whole house wasn't hers. She only had a third of the house.
Wow. So the probate, excuse me. So the probate, just for our listeners, our audience, probate is the process of going through with the court to determine what is truly owned by a person and what may still have liens or all that process. Is that?
It's that process. It's that process of making sure that the property gets distributed. It's when you're talking about having a will, right? Getting distributed because I can make you my executor of my estate. And if I pass away, You can't just come in there and be like, hey, such and such, Nate Will says you get this, or you get, nah, it don't work like that.
All right.
Right? Because you don't know what debts I have. Can I drop another bombshell on folks? And I don't
Go
know.
ahead. Go ahead, brother.
If you got a bunch of debt, let me say it like this. So my father, my pops is gone. When my pops passed away, Nate Jr., he's Nate Sr. Nate Jr. was not responsible for Nate Sr.'s debts.
Say that again. Say that
Yeah.
again. Let me.
When my pops passed away, his debts don't fall down on me if I'm not attached to that debt. If we co-signed on something
Mm-hmm.
or we were co-leasers on something, that's a different story. But if he got $10,000 worth of credit card bills out there, they don't belong to me. Now, these folk may try to call you and want you to pay them.
Right. But legally, that's so important. And real quick, I see my brother Dexter Mayberry. We put his comment up there, or question. We want to go back to what you were saying before. Are you that a trust is something that must be managed, and a will is something that you create?
That's a good way of putting it. I wouldn't say just, but that's a good way of
Just
putting it.
yeah.
Because once you do a will, it's valid if everything was done right first time, right? When you first put it in place. And if nothing changes, and I tell people, and we tell people, you should be looking at your will, looking at your estate planning, your legacy documents on an annual basis, or or if something of a material fact happens, you have another child, right? And you have a will that says you leave your house to your one child. Now you have another child. You need to go back in there and get that part done. That's going to be something that's going to be simple to do, called a change, which is called a codicil. It's something simple to be done for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But a trust, somebody else is managing it. And another factor with the trust, which I know I'm going to mess some people up, especially ones that like to get their information off TikTok.
Oh, be careful! Be careful! Be careful!
I got to be careful. I got to be careful. You're not the owner of the property. The trust owns the property. So now you're dealing with your net worth. You can't say, if you have a $500,000 house and you put it in your trust, you can't say that your net worth is $500,000 because you're not the owner of it anymore.
Wow! Wow!
So people have to be careful.
Wow!
And there's other ways of getting property out of your name into other people's name, but I just wanted to throw that out there because there is lots of misinformation that is out there, especially when it comes to trust and wills.
Absolutely, man. And we just want to be clear. We don't have a war against TikTok,
right?
But that's just a lot of, like you said. I totally agree with you. A lot of misinformation out there, and so that's why this is so important to go over this. Dexter has a follow-up question, but I just just want you guys to know that. And I literally told two patients this today, because, and I'm tying into this because we talked about medication. One lady came in, she lost 20.6 pounds over the last 2 months. So that's an average of 10 pounds per month. She did it all by diet and exercise alone. No Ozempic. I had to check the chart to make sure. Is she on Ozempic? Yeah. and she's 64, 65 years old. And the other gentleman, his birthday's today, and he's 67. And no, wait, no, I'm sorry. No, 70. He's in his 70s, let's say that. And he was telling, I said, man, he was dressed, man. He had some nice clothes on, had a real nice fit, had a fedora hat. And we were talking about, he said, man, why don't other doctors talk about, end of life, code status, the things that you asked me, and especially trying to get us off of medication instead of trying to continually put us on. He said, because if I had known these things and knowing how, unfortunately, I'm not saying that medicine is not necessary, but
Right.
because in a lot of instances it is. But he said, not telling us the truth about how this stuff is making people dependent and sometimes killing us. And I said, but that's the world. They don't want you to know. Big Pharma don't want you to know. So same as what you're saying about TikTok, and that's why estate planning and all that. This is so vital because you don't know what's going to happen to us. We could all be on medication, blood pressure, diabetes, metformin, insulin, all that good stuff, and be on the best regimen and still pass away. And that's why you need to go to places. You need to make sure that you're involved. You're aware of end of life estate planning, and that's why you got to contact PRF Institute.
Come on, sir.
Dexter, all right. So, what would be the best age to create and write your will?
Yeah, as we talked about a little bit earlier,
Hmm.
for me, I'm always starting at when these individuals get out of high school,
Okay.
right? Because after high school, many like me leave home and go into the military, and some go directly into college. Some leave and go so they roll oats over on the West Coast when they grew up on the East Coast. And so when they are away from us as their parent guardians, we want to make sure that they have those things in place. We have a daughter who lives in Arizona. Guess what I know? I know she has these things in place. She may need to update some things, but at the end of the day, whoever's on that paperwork, if she got into a situation where she can't speak for themselves,
Hmm.
I know that that's done because I made sure that it happened. And so I don't like putting an age because you may have somebody that goes off the college at 17, or
Right.
they go off, somebody goes off to the military at 18. Um, and depending on the state, that age of majority, where they can actually sign a legal document, is really what you're focusing the attention on.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Let's see here. We are going over to Instagram land. We've got a couple of folks on there. So the next question, wanted to know. What are some simple and affordable ways that people can make sure that their funeral expenses are covered ahead of time? We heard the question ahead of time.
hmm I love it. I love being proactive. Um,
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what we did when my wife and I got married. One of the first, or not one of, but the piece of real estate that we owned was um, our burial plots.
Wow.
I didn't know it at the time because I said, "Hey, let's go ahead and get this out of the way." So we visited um, a funeral service, and we purchased our plots, and we paid on them for like a year or so. Right? We had a monthly payment, so we budgeted for that, and it was one of those things that was a non-negotiable. Just like
Mm,
your taxes are non-negotiable every month
that's
if
right.
you get W-2,
That's
that was
right.
non-negotiable. The other thing, and so once we paid it off, guess what? We get a letter in the mail, and it actually was a deed because it's actually real estate. And I'm like, what? Never knew that. So this was many, many moons ago, of course.
Mm,
Um, so you can pay, go visit one of those funeral homes or funeral services,
mm-hmm.
and let, hey, I want to go ahead and get my plot now,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to pay on it along the way. Now, here's the reality: if you pay on along the way, and a person passes away, then that's less money that the family member has to come out of their pockets.
Okay.
Think about it, right? So it's just about being responsible. The other piece to that is that was just the plot. We're not talking about the vault. So the vault is something separate. That the vault is where the body and the casket is kept. In some places, depending where you go for your services, the funeral home may be able to do it. And in some places, they have to have another company to come in and do the vault piece. So you
Okay.
can't think that just because you got your plot that you got everything covered.
Hmm.
So you may want to ask that question. And again, pay along the way, because when they have these packages, it works out a whole lot better if you can just budget it.
Wow.
Another thing is, and I don't know I don't know about simple and affordable, but I have to say it.
Okay.
Life insurance is definitely one key way to make sure that your funeral, um, your burial expenses are covered. Average cost of a funeral, $8,500, $9,000. Average cost of cremation can go anywhere from 2,500 to 500, depending on where you live. So
Okay.
you have to make the decision. What do you want? And we tell people in our coaching session. So I'm gonna get this to your listeners for free.
All right. Let's do it.
You can have a cremation and still have a funeral. So let's just knock that myth in the mouth.
Wait a minute. Wait a
Yes,
minute. Wait a minute. You're saying that you can have a cremation and
right.
still have a funeral.
Still have funeral service, right? Because remember, the cremation is the burning of the body down to the ashes. So
Hmm.
before they do that, Joe Blow can be right there in the funeral. You can see Joe Blow, and then after it's over, then they can go ahead and take care of that. But these are
Wow.
things, ladies and gentlemen, that you need to explore. Because I don't want you to leave here thinking it's only 3,500 for a cremation, and then you have somebody in your family that says, "Well, we're gonna have a funeral." Well, what does that mean? The
Hmm.
cremation is one part, but we want to have the funeral. And there's some people that just don't get that, which is why this type of education is important.
Absolutely. We've got a couple of questions that have come in. Jasmine says, and then Pamela, we'll get to you right after that. And well, I don't think I've seen your name before. So, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Telehealth Tuesday, where we are here each and every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Jasmine, can a will be probated after 12 years of a deceased parent?
Yes, yes. Again, think about it like this. Grandma Lizzie, that's one of our examples. Grandma Lizzie passed away in 1980. Her grandchild is now living in the house.
Hmm.
Now the grandchild passes away, who has another child. But that's the only house that they know. So they believe that that's my mama's. Really, it's really Grandma Lizzie's house, but also Grandma Lizzie and her two siblings. So there cannot be done with the estate of that grandchild to leave to the great grandchild. They can't do anything with it because that grandchild does not have ownership. So somebody has to go all the way back
Okay.
and probate the will from the last time of whoever had ownership of it.
Wow. Can you just um, can people go back, like, okay, let's say in this, I'm glad you asked that, Jasmine. So like you said, and even in your case, we say 1980. So let's
Mm.
say you've gone through probate, you think the family thinks they've gotten everything settled, but then let's say there's a great grandchild somewhere, and when he or she gets old enough, they say, you know what, even though I didn't even know her, I feel like I'm entitled to this, for someone. Go in and later challenge whatever was in that probate from their mother or father and say, I don't want my auntie or my grand aunt in there. I want to be in there. Do people do that?
People try. Remember, this is a civil, so people can try that, right? But if the work has already been done and it's been determined who were the legal heirs,
Hmm.
the the grandchild may coming back and try to say that. In case in point, we had somebody that tried to challenge us recently on a will of somebody who had passed away. The lady who passed away had one child. Let's say she had a son. She had a daughter. She had a daughter. The grandchild wanted to challenge the will and the validity of the will
Okay. Okay.
because the grandchild said, "My grandma wouldn't have left me out the will." Well,
Hmm.
here's the reality: your grandmama don't have to put you in the will, young man. Your
Mm.
grandmama puts whoever she wants to put into her will. I ain't say it like that to him, but that's the
Boom.
reality.
Boom.
Now, the other part to that was the person who was talking to me was the son's father. The son's father, there was no talking to the son's father because he's the ex of the daughter.
Right.
He's a stranger to the estate. And also, the grandchild is not a direct heir to the estate. The only one that was an heir to the estate was that woman's daughter, which was the grandson, or which was her son, who was saying, "My grandmama wouldn't have left me out."
Right, right, right.
So people, I will not tell anybody that feels that they have a right to challenge a will or to go to the courts and say, "Hey, there was something missed." I would say if that's what you feel you need to do, go ahead and do it. But it doesn't mean if everything was done above board, if the one who was administrator or the one who was the executor did everything that they were supposed to do, then it may not come out in their favor.
Gotcha. All right. Hope that makes sense on that one. Um, geez, and I got someone like, okay, on YouTube. Yeah, good to see. All right. Johnny Reynolds, man, representing Vicksburg, Mississippi.
Right.
Johnny needs to run for mayor, but I know he's good friends with the mayor who just served he just served 12 years, Mayor George Flaggs. And I want to give a big shout out to him and his administration. But I know they're good friends, and he's introduced me to him. But Johnny sent me a question there. But just so I can make sure I go in order so I don't lose track of these. Doc, I know we're a little over time. We got
Take your time. Take
all
your
right,
time.
about 10 more minutes. Okay, okay. Geez, and look, she said they will use a borrowed, let me put this up there. They'll use a borrowed casket and then do the cremation. Now, I'm just going to leave that there, Chief. I'm just the borrowed. It's the borrowed casket for me. I'm going to leave that there.
It's not
Okay.
a casket that a person. What she's talking about is when you go in and sit with a funeral home director or the staff, and you purchase a casket for a body to go in. With
Right.
the cremation, there's no reason to purchase a body for it to go in because no body is going to go in there.
Right.
So it makes sense that they get a stock, if you will, casket. It doesn't mean it's going to be a pine box, ladies and gentlemen. It's just one. Now, if you want to purchase a casket, even with the cremation, I'm sure they would oblige you. Yeah, and listen, it may sound funny, but in this moment,
Mercy.
we have to let people handle things in a way that they want to handle it so that they can feel
Yeah.
comfort in that moment. You know what I'm saying? So to
Absolutely.
me, that wouldn't make sense, right? If you're gonna be
Right.
cremated, we're gonna put you in a little vase for $100, right? But
Yeah. Yeah.
but somebody else may feel better to have that moment of watching a casket go actually in the ground. They want to spend a couple $1,000s on it and they got the money, that's fine. I just think not going into debt is the best practice also.
Absolutely. Let's Pamela Hurston, and then Johnny, we're gonna go to your question. So Pamela Hurston, if you marry or have a marriage, let's get that up on the screen. If you marry or have a marriage ceremony with the libertarian to protect yourself, should you have a will or trust or any type of document for financial protection? A marriage ceremony with the libertarian to I'm thinking to the political side there, but maybe you can help us with that. Should you have a will or trust or any other type of document for financial protection?
So I don't understand the libertarian piece to protect
Yeah.
yourself, but I will say that when two people get married, I believe that it is a really good thing to make sure that both parties have separate wills. You can have a joint will with somebody. It is legally permissible if it's permissible in the state that you live. But the challenges that can come from that is when they're no longer married, right? So we always suggest, let us do a will for you, Mr. Such and Such, and let us do a will. And we oftentimes will do it in a way that each person has the ability, if you will, to make sure that they feel comfortable leaving what their portion of what it is that they have to whoever they want to leave it to. A husband does not have to leave. A husband and wife own a house. They do not have to leave their 50% portion of that house to their husband and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's
Okay.
whatever they own at the time, it's up to them to be able to determine what they want to leave and who they want to leave it to.
Wow. And that's interesting because, well, you know what? We won't even be messy on this show because I know that when my late father passed away, like you were talking about things that are left, he left me his grand piano. And I got to tell you, he passed away in 2014. It's 2025. And Nate, I still have yet to see that grand piano. But I'm gonna leave that one there
Wow.
because we don't want to be, yeah, I'm gonna leave that one there. I just wanted to put that. I had to throw that in there. But okay. My big brother, man, Johnny.
One more thing. Let
Oh,
me
go ahead.
let
Go
me
ahead.
hit on that last piece because that financial protection piece is really, really good. And I'm not sure if this is going to be able to answer her question the way she posed it. Um, I, husband and wives need to understand the finances of the other. I'm not going to marry anybody as a minister that I cannot have a window into what their finances look like individually. And if they're
Wow.
hiding things, and this is the danger, if they're hiding things if one of those individuals pass away,
Mm.
that's when they're going to be looking at what's in this person's name. So if you think that you're being slick and your spouse does not know about 13 credit cards that you have because y'all don't deal with finances,
Oh
you
my.
could be jamming yourselves up for the one that you love, even though you're doing something bad. Because this is what could happen. Remember what I said earlier for those who was not here. The debt does not get automatically pushed down to heirs, right? It doesn't work like that. Nate's debt is Nate's debt, and Kathy's debt is Kathy's debt. But if Nate Senior has $100,000 of credit card bills and other uh, type of debts that's out there, part of the probate process, the reason why they put it in, one reason why they put it in the paper. Some
Mm.
put it in the paper for 3 weeks, or some put it
Right.
in before, and they
Right.
say if you have a claim to the estate, blah blah blah, then we're giving you that opportunity to come forth. So if you got a $500,000 home, right, and you have a mortgage of 400,000 left on that house, or that person has 400,000 left on that house,
Mm-hmm.
and they have $100,000 of debts, the creditors can say, I make a claim to that estate. And now we want the courts to have that house, the equity out so they can pay that just debt. So you can think that you're good because but you don't know all the financial pieces that's going on. So that's why we got to have these deep conversations. And that's what I love how we do these one-on-one coaching sessions, because we're asking the tough questions in them, not who you want to lead. We're not just doing that. We going deep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Johnny says, um, if a father had two siblings in the okay, so you're saying if a father had two siblings in the will, and the son passed away but never changed it first, the will never changed the will, but wrote out the will and gave to the daughter. Now, what
Hold
you're
on.
asking me now,
Read
Johnny?
that again.
Yeah, he said, Doc, he says, Doc, I'm listening. He said, question: if the dad had two siblings in his will, so I don't know if you're saying that the father's siblings, or you're saying, Johnny, that his children, and he had two children, because it said two
Right.
siblings in the will. The son passed, but never changed the first will, but wrote out another will and gave it to the daughter. Okay, so I think you're saying he's texting me the father. I want to make sure, Johnny, we're is correct, man. But are you saying that if he basically the father had two children, and the
Mhm.
son passed away and never changed the will, so at some point they wrote out another will and gave things to the daughter. But I think you left it right. I think we need a little more clarification on that one.
Well, let me let me
But
let me throw
let's
out
see what you.
let me throw out what I think I'm hearing. So the father has a will. In the will, he's leaving things, some property or whatever, to his son and to his daughter. If the son passes away before the father, then
Hmm.
the daughter would get the other half of the will because it was, if let's say it was something that was split 50-50,
50, yeah, 50
right?
50.
So let's make it simple, 50-50. Whatever if the son did not have any children, then that other half would go to that daughter, right?
Okay. Okay. Oh, so
It
what
would
say
go to
that? So I'm sorry. Say that again. If the son who it was 50-50, a son and a daughter, the son
uh
dies before the will is ever changed, and the son doesn't have any children, then his half goes to his sister.
right,
Okay.
right. So
Okay.
the thing that becomes that becomes challenging is if there's children, because let's say that son had 5 children, then what would be entitled to those 5 children? Now
Mhm.
that 50% would now have to be divided by 5
Okay. Yeah. Of his 50.
of his 50. Now, I heard a part of what the question was asking about changing the will. Nothing matters if the will was done, say, in 2015, and he does another will in 2020. Whatever
Hmm.
he has in that in 2020 is going to be what's actually valid.
Okay. Okay.
It's not going to have anything, right, because I decided what I wanted to give to my child or my children.
Okay.
And you know what, that's a good question, because we try so hard here at PRF to encourage individuals, excuse me. I mean, we've done wills where it's been millions of dollars worth of personal property assets, right? And I try to encourage the people that we're doing these wills for, say, listen, if you die tomorrow, after this will is executed, your son gonna get that $700,000 house. Your daughter's gonna get $250,000 worth of vehicles. And if
That's right.
she gets that and passes away before she does a will or updates a will, guess what? Your stuff is not passing like you wanted to pass. So once you say, listen, I want to give property to somebody, then the next step should be, let's get this done for the people that you're leaving, planning to leave stuff with, so that it can continue to go down your bloodline or through the people that you want it to go to. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Last one, I'm gonna say this. I know it's 8:20, man. We really appreciate you staying with us, and for you, the audience and members that are here with us. Remy, my, from our group chat, and who I've known, one of my closest friends. He's family to me. He and his mother. Big shout out to Miss Linda, and during her recuperation. Remy says, he works in similar capacities. Nate, he works with some trusts and different things like that, and with Medicare, and
Okay.
so maybe I'll have to hook you guys up.
Yeah, we definitely need to.
Yeah, but he said, this is correct. We have to have these deep conversations. The goal is to set arrangements so you can avoid probate. He said, I'm working with a family right now, and that's why you have to consult a professional.
Absolutely. I'll share this real quick. You, there are times in our history in America where things, some people have had the advantage over other people, Doc. And then once some other people start understanding and becoming empowered and having the same benefits as some other people, sometimes we see the rules changing. I think it's important to understand that while we have the ability to do certain things, because if you're not even dealing with any of this, you're probably not going to be paying attention to anything that comes across um, where the system changes the rules regarding estates and paying
Absolutely.
taxes on estate. Some stuff is not even quick in your mind without having these conversations. But once you get stuff in place and once you start amassing assets, you start thinking a little bit different. We try to help people to think different so that they can put themselves in a position and start amassing the wealth that I believe most people deserve.
Yep, absolutely. Well, that's I wanna let Dr. Nate close it out here. I know Remy, you got some. He said I'm establishing revocable living trust and utilizing joint ownership with rights of survivorship and designating beneficiaries for certain assets. Well, yeah, Remy, we look. I'm gonna let all y'all with that technical stuff, man. I'm gonna let you get with Nate. Y'all, you guys, I'm gonna hook y'all up with all that, man. But look, Nate, I want to give you the final word, Doc, and would love for you to let everybody know where you are, how you can be reached, whether or not you're taking on clients, and again, just what you and your team can offer.
Absolutely. So you can easily reach us at prfinstitute.org, prfinstitute.org, specifically to the topic for tonight, focusing on legacy and legacy planning. Just go to the legacy portion of our site, and you'll be able to see all the packages that we offer for individuals and for couples. Um, Email address admin@prfinstitute.org, admin@prfinstitute.org. And you can reach us at 334-759-4884. 334-759-4884. One thing you can also do is you'll be able to see how to schedule consultations. We have some premier consultations or coaching sessions that we afford to people who are looking to get this. And I'll say this to everybody: um, it takes a lot to do the work that we do, but we don't want finances to be a hindrance for you reaching out. And so, if this is you and you're in a situation where you don't have the finances, please don't let that be a hindrance. All we need to do is have a conversation, because we believe when we help people and get people into a certain position, all we want people to do is pay it forward. So if you
Absolutely,
don't have it right now, let us go ahead and see what we can do to work with you. And then when you do have it, back into those who have helped to make it possible for you and your family, so that you can do the same thing for others. That's it.
absolutely. Well, look, I want to just say, man, Doc, I really appreciate you, man, so much for joining us again on Telehealth Tuesday. If you'll stay with me, as soon as we roll the credit, we're going to go off live. If you'll just hang with me behind the scenes for just a few
Sure.
minutes, so just hang on, and we'll mute the mics. But everybody, thank you all so much for staying with us. I even
Appreciate
see
that.
some more people. Absolutely, some more folks have joined us. But this is Telehealth Tuesday, each and every Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, 7 p.m. every Tuesday. Don't change that dial. I guess they don't have a dial because it's online, but don't don't change that dial. Listen, next week we're going to have an amazing guest. Stay tuned. We have somebody who has been making some true headwaves in the land of education. I'm not going to reveal the guest because this is another big one, and I want you guys to stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe, Dr. B TV on YouTube. With that said, so join us next week. Bring a friend. If there's someone you want to hear from, if there's someone you want to suggest, don't hesitate to DM us, reach out, or email us. And if you yourself want to be a guest, we would love to have you. So God willing, we'll see you always on a Tuesday, 7 p.m. We treat and discuss the mind, body, and soul. And remember, true wealth begins with good health. See you next.